I think it would go back to, if you're having a difficult time, one, you got to give yourself grace. You got to take a time out. You got to take a nap. You have to schedule it. Scheduler. You got to have a schedule and a planner. That was one of the biggest things that I fought doing. However, once I started doing it, it's the biggest thing you do. And you have to give yourself, you have to schedule a break. You have to schedule a break.
We are live here, TBI Awareness Month, with another TBI warrior, a good friend of mine from the Load Center. Big shout out to everyone there. The Food Whisperer, aka Adrienne, she had a TBI. She's big in the food and health and wellness space. So all those areas we're diving into. Get ready. Adrienne, welcome to A Mental Health Break.
Hi, Vincent. Thank you so much for having me on A Mental Health Break.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. And everyone, once the show gets on the road, I'll go ahead and I'll drop that entrepreneur show link into this chat. That way you can check out her entrepreneurial journey too. We did which episode did we do already? We did that entrepreneur show.
We did that entrepreneur show. Yeah.
Overload.
We were talking journeys and challenges and opportunities and yeah.
Yeah, she's so inspirational. I got confused because we still have Writing with Authors to record. So stay tuned for that. You'll find a new favorite face to follow. Here on A Mental Health Break, I want to welcome you to keeping this show a top 5% global podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in each and every week. Again, today, we're diving into an incredible world. She has her own food show, and we all know how important eating good food is. For me, when I have that cheat meal, when I drive by McDonald's for the 1,000th time and I get that Big Mac, tastes good at the time, but how does it make you feel after? So we'll talk about how that relates to the health upstairs as well. But before we dive in, let me show some love to John Ford, our show partner this quarter. He has his brand new empathy show, everything he's card app, everything he's got empathy wise to make sure you're not alone. Head to johnford.com or theempathyset.com or our other show partner, Coming Alive Podcast Production.com. But Adrienne, you can share your story better than me. I've got your show notes pulled up here, but if you don't mind, please walk us through your TBI experience.
Well, Vincent, it's interesting because I'm sure what I went through isn't anywhere near what you went through. But because of it, I have become a huge advocate to bring awareness to, it could even be just the slightest jostle to our brains that creates that TBI. In 2010, I was turning from South Del Mabry onto 275 to go down to I-4 at the traffic light that used to be there before the new Whole Foods. And this truck ran a red light and T-boned my passenger side. And I spun like a teacup ride all the way across to the median, like the other side. And when I came to, there were people all around and they're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you all right? And I just looked at myself and I said, well, nothing's cut, nothing's broken. I think I'm okay. Because back in 87, my sister and I had been hit head on by a truck.
Oh my goodness.
And she was pinned from the waist down. She lost her spleen, she punctured lungs, her arm snapped. I had more external injuries, but I didn't know at the time that what had actually happened was a TBI because I lost all of my language skills. So anyway, again, the reaction was nothing's cut, nothing's broken. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, you want an ambulance? I'm like, no, call my husband. And when my husband came to get me and I got out of the car, my right arm would not respond.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, something's not right. I don't know what's not right, but something's not right. So we went to the hospital. They're like, yeah, you have a concussion. They didn't do an MRI or CT scan or anything. They're like, well, just wait and see, follow up with your doctor. I went to the doctor. My doctor, a few days later, he's like, well, that's good because brain bleeds don't always show up immediately. It can take a few days or a week. I don't remember. So that's when I went for the scan and they're like, okay, no brain bleeds. However, you go through that. So you have the concussion, then you have the post-concussive state. And then after that, you wait 3 months to see if there's a TBI. And it was during that time that I no longer had a mouth filter. I went from being calm Adrienne to being screaming, raging, no mouth filter, no emotion holding, handling anything. Couldn't multitask anymore. I was burning people's foods left and right. Yeah, it was really crazy.
Well, look how far you've come now. So be proud of yourself, everyone. We're going to learn a lot more of what she has going on present day towards the end of the episode, but it is something truly to be proud of because she's scaling something truly special. And of course, again, another shout out to the Low Center, helped forge this episode. The Gasparilla Overload, If you've never tuned into that entrepreneur show, every January, except only on year 2 out of 5, I show love to Florida businesses for Gasparilla's holiday. We did her and Owen, who's doing big things I've seen on LinkedIn lately too. So big shout there. But back to mental health. What are some things you do to take care of your mental health now that you are recovered? And I use the quotes because, like me, it is just what it is. My memory is what it is. I have tools and little hacks that I help myself with, but I'd love to learn some of yours, things you do to stay mentally afloat.
Yeah, Vincent, I think like the biggest thing that happened post truck was that you have to relearn things. And I have to give it to TGH because they had a great, what was it called? I forget, but whatever kind of therapy it was, it worked well because it helped me learn how to like use both sides of my brain again and all of that. The biggest thing is you have to schedule things. We have to accept our new us because we're never going to be the same ever, ever, ever again. B, we have to pray that our family and friends are going to accept us as we are and not try to put us back in that mold because we're never, ever, ever going to be the same. And I remember wanting to start up a TBI support group. And at that time, so go back to 2010, there wasn't all the social media. There wasn't all the Zoom calls there weren't everything. So trying to get people together who couldn't drive, who wasn't able to drive in the rain, who wasn't good with being out in public around crowds, but wanted to be around people who were having the same things happen. Learning people that just lost all of their family and friends because they were never diagnosed with a TBI and yet have no mouth filter and go from zero to raging maniac and not being able to control it all. And you're laughing because you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's learning how to socialize all over again, learning your triggers. And everybody's triggers are different because you have sight, you have sound, you have scent, you have light, like high pitches. Like for me, it's cars, motor cars, and the car motors roaring. It's those high pitches. It's those inflections. It's flashing strobing lights. It's learning that when you're out in a crowd, there's that fine line where you're like, maybe I should leave. No, I'll be okay. To being like, gotta leave right now. And learning that when you have that first little, I should probably leave, knowing you need to go.
I love that. And I got relearning the language skills and learning how to socialize, but knowing yourself, and that's so true. Recognizing, admitting it, and a lot of this was just resonating so much where in the beginning especially I was very, very angry, confused, and then until you accept and you get out of that denial, things don't really start to change. And it's great that you highlighted that because that's TBI or not, knowing yourself, knowing your triggers, placing yourself in situations or around certain people who may trigger you. And it's not that they're bad people.
Yes.
It's not that they're bad people. Everybody in this planet has different triggers, but just knowing what's a safe environment or a warm environment for you and trying to stay in those environments as much as possible is very important for me. And as entrepreneurs, it's very hard on ourselves all day. So making sure the other externalities around us are in our favor. So thank you for sharing that. Eating good food, though, I want to show love to what you do professionally is very important. I get my meal plans because if not, end of a work day, I'm not cooking, I'm Uber Eating or I'm doing something. So if I have something in the fridge, it helps me good. I eat good. I feel good, I think, right? So talk to us about what got you into the food world.
I've always been in the food world, always. We're Sicilian, so growing up as a child, we always entertaining. My parents' retirement business when we moved down here was an Italian deli down in Fort Myers, Sal's Place. Wow. So that's when I broken into the hospitality industry when I was 14. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. So, but then I thought I was going to be a pharmacist.
Really?
And that's when the car accident happened in 87. And you get that, well, what do I really want to do with my life? Right? Sure. What do I really want to do with my life? And I'm like, I really want to cook. And so it took convincing on my parents' part. And they're like, get your degree and then go to culinary school and we'll help pay for it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got to pay for that too, don't I? So, and then in 98, so I was working in hotels, private corporate franchise restaurants, cooked in Hawaii, cooked in Seattle, cooked at the Don Cesar and the Maritana Grill. 98, I fell into natural foods and I learned the connection between food and health. And so what started out as just, working corporate and wanting to make money turned into, oh my gosh, there is this direct connection with food allergies and digestive issues. And then working with various medical professionals, becoming a private chef. And when my accident happened in 2010, one of my practitioners that I was working with, acupuncturist, said, coconut oil is the most fabulous brain food there is. Start eating coconut oil to help reconnecting and rewiring. And it tastes soapy, but I'll tell you what, it is fabulous brain food.
I love that recommendation. We need all the brain food we can get. What other brain foods you got for our listeners?
Well, you don't want to hear more fats, but like your beef tallow and any clean, like any tallows are fabulous brain foods. Proteins, really, sugar, starchy carbs are poison to the brain. They eat up the brain, basically. Whereas
What
your
are
dark
those
leafy
found in? Starchy carbs. What would that be typically be in?
potatoes, pastas, flours,
Oh no.
alcohol.
All the pasta we're eating is killing us, huh?
Even like quinoa and amaranth, they're a more nutritious grain, but really there is a lot of medical studies out there. So keto eating is actually prescribed for heart patients and stroke patients because it's protein and healthy fats in the proper ratios nourish our brain because our brain is cholesterol. So cholesterol blockers technically create more Alzheimer's and dementia and brain issues. We have to have that fat to feed the brain in healthy amounts, the proper kinds of fats, the whole food fats, the clean, organic, pasture raised, grass finished, seeds and nuts.
Thank you for sharing that, everyone. If you like what we're hearing right now, be sure to head to the episode bio when it comes out. They'll have the link there for the Entrepreneur Show. Stick around to the end of the show. We'll get her website. I've been dropping it here. So if you're viewing on today or when the video gets reshared, you'll have her website there. Also dropped, I had the email there before. So yes, go say hello to her. But we've touched on a lot so far here in the mental health world. What advice could you give to someone who has a TBI and is at the places we were? Only confusion, no idea what's going on. What hope can you offer through a piece of advice?
You definitely have to advocate for yourself. You have to advocate for yourself and find a practitioner that specializes in TBI.
Yep.
Is one of the biggest things. You have to give yourself grace. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive whatever event happened that created that TBI with you, because if you want to get into energy a little bit, you kind of create it on yourself sometimes. Like with me, I was doing too much. And it was rush, work,
overload,
yep. Right? Yeah, overload. But yeah, I mean, give yourself grace. You have to advocate for yourself and find a practitioner that's going to help you work with the new you. And then you do need to communicate with those around you that you love. I'm not the same person. I look fine. You look fabulous. You look like the picture of health, right? However, there's a lot that takes a different way to process. And there are those that will never and will just keep treating you and expecting the same things out of you. And you just got to work with what you have. You're going to find your tribe and you find your support groups and you find podcasts like yours that are just a mental health break. We need those. And everybody needs people like you and experts like you to really just share these messages of the real world and what's really going on in people's heads.
Well, I really appreciate all the things you said there, all the kind words, and including to be kind to yourself. And hearing those words about the podcast are the little things that help keep going, right? In entrepreneurship, you just keep going and going. And then when you hear it actually impacts someone, like, okay, cool. Because the numbers are the numbers, and that's great. But hearing it firsthand always means so much. So thank you. Why didn't I know you were a TGH? Or did we talk about this? Have we spoke about this?
I don't think we did.
Have you ever done any of the Tallahassee trips?
No.
I've got a link after this call. I'm gonna link you up in an email with some of my TGH people. They're so much fun. So it just passed, but every January the hospital goes up to Capitol in Tallahassee, and we share our stories on because it's to affect the law changes and all of the things that happen in healthcare. We go there as people on the ground. So before they sign these bills or veto these bills or whatever the terms are, they hear.
I'm in.
Yeah. So I've got it pulled up here. I had no idea you were a TGHer, so that's amazing. Everyone out there, TGH is obviously where I recovered. I'm very honored to be working very closely with them still. Coming Alive Podcast Production produces their podcast. So it's very great to continue to be in touch with an organization that did so much for us. And I mean, the TBI recovery, now it was, 12 years ago, but it still feels like yesterday in many regards. So at this point of the show, Adrienne, we covered so much. I'd like to now ask for a piece of advice for anyone out there who's suffering today, going through a tough time.
I think it would go back to, if you're having a difficult time, one, you got to give yourself grace. You got to take a time out. You got to take a nap. You have to schedule it. Scheduler. You got to have a schedule and a planner. That was the biggest thing that I fought doing. However, once I started doing it, it's the biggest thing you do. And you have to give yourself, you have to schedule a break. and find someone to support you, like mentally, emotionally, psychologically. Find a way to get an advocate so that you can advocate for yourself. And that's really what forgive and grace and rest and advocate. You're going to find someone eventually. If you keep saying, I know there's someone out there. Do you know anybody that works with TBIs? Is there a way that I can find somebody? And you'll find them. Just keep asking and don't quit. Don't quit. Keep persevering.
I absolutely love that. The show notes are looking really good for when the show goes live. Everyone, this show, I hope, provides a resources for many people for many reasons. But if you do feel alone, that you at least have these conversations to listen to. And I know it's awkward, shy, hard to reach out to people cold. That's how I've honestly built my business, though, is through cold messages. But reaching out to people on this show, they are here to help. The website, VincentALancey.com, is getting revamped as we speak, where all the guests will have their spot. Once as many entrepreneurs may be able to relate to, certain activities fall behind as you get busier, and one was updating the site. The problem is now we're 5 years into both shows, so we're getting everybody back up there where we'll have the website, the easy access email. That way you can keep in touch with people, because remember, you are not alone. Conversations like yours need to be heard. And I had the itty bitty committee in my head when I wrote my first book, and it took the longest than any other book. Who would want to read this? Start the podcast, who would listen to this? But you don't have to be rich and famous and on TV to have people who resonate with you, because if you're authentic, you'll attract authenticity. And here on A Mental Health Break, my goal is to continue weekly shows with people who are going to be vulnerable and honest about what they've gone through, because there's someone else on the other end of this mic, other end of this screen, who's gone through something similar. So Adrienne, you crushed it today. I can't thank you enough for coming on. Where can we find you online? The show, the book, the online presence, everything.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I am the Food Whisperer. On YouTube, it's the Food Whisperer 813, and you can find Healthy Meals in Minutes there, like all 8 episodes. And then also on Red House TV or hstv.com, you can find it there. If you don't want to download that app, like I said, just find me on YouTube and you'll find the shows there. Vincent, thank you so much for being such a voice for the unheard and for being an advocate for those that might not even know what's going on, because it's a head trauma of any sort. It doesn't have to be getting plowed over by a car. It could be a slip and a fall. It could be physically related. It could be sports injuries. It could be from a traumatic relationship, right? There's all sorts of ways that these TBIs happen. So thank you so much for being an advocate for A Mental Health Break and bringing all these things to light for other people.
Well, thank you for the kind words again. And, just in the beginning where you said it wasn't as bad as mine, no accident is more severe or not than other. Everyone battles things physically and then mentally and emotionally. So congratulations on how far you've come. And everyone, this is A Mental Health Break. Be sure to check her out online. We are at A Mental Health Break on all social media and amentalhealthbreak.com. One more time for our show partners, we have the empathyset.com with John Ford. He's got an app in the App Store. Go ahead and get out there. Really great stuff. And then, of course, Coming Alive podcastproduction.com to start your pod today. But with that, we are signing off. Ending TBI Awareness Month, everyone. I know I slacked on getting out here this month with it, but I hope you enjoyed the solo episode, and I hope you enjoyed the closing episode today right here on A Mental Health Break.
Thank you, Vincent.